About 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day, Katie Greifeld and Scarlet Fu in for Romaine Bosick. And here to help take us through the closing bell, we're joined by a global simulcast. Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec. We bring together all of our different audiences across all the different platforms. Carol Massar, and boy, what a bounce back we're seeing on this Monday.
Yeah, exactly, right? Although you dig a little bit deeper into the S&P 500 and almost an even split, but I am seeing some mega outperformance when it comes to the semiconductor names, up almost 5% in today's trade. So they are definitely among your top gainers today.
Yeah, I mean, it would look like this is a broad-based rally, you know, if you think about how things are moving, but it's not a broad-based rally. I mean, at one point today, even though the S&P 500 was up more than 1%, you had an equal number of gainers and decliners. It's because, like Carol mentioned, the semiconductors are higher, and then big tech and mega cap tech is just dragging the index higher.
And we should note as well that this is a holiday shortened week. There's not a whole lot of people at work or necessarily trading. Volume in the Nasdaq 100, for instance, is down about 45% from the average.
No, nothing I love more than a holiday shortened week. I do want to say for you, Tim and Scarlett, yes, you take a look at Bitcoin, finally found a bid. We're still below $90,000 a coin, but certainly a good sign when it comes to risk appetite.
Don't forget about our show tomorrow.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Okay?
Every Tuesday,
I thought you were
12
going
p.m.
there. It's at noon Wall Street
You're
time.
gonna tease. Go for it.
I put that up on a platter for you. You know, it always comes the day after.
Hey, look, it's still down from
ETFIQ.
all-time highs of 125,000, right?
There you go. We'll get there one day. Anyway, you take a look at these equity markets, how they're closing on this Monday of this holiday shortened week. And like I said, really a rip higher when it comes to the S&P 500. Looks like we'll finish just over 1.5% higher, 6,700 on the S&P 500. The Nasdaq better there, 2.7% higher on the Nasdaq. The Dow Jones, we keep an eye on that just for posterity's sake, higher by about 0.4%. So again, a lot of green across these major indices, Carol.
All right, and then I'm going to go to the S&P 500 once again, to the split there. 250 names, guys, to the upside. Scarlett, 241 to the downside, 3 unchanged.
All right, let's take a look at the IMAP, and clearly it's very lopsided because the biggest sectors are communication services, tech, and consumer discretionary, and they are the biggest gainers as well. Communication services, formerly the telecom group, up 4% as a group. Pretty incredible. Tech up 2.5%. Consumer discretionary, which includes Amazon, retailers, home builders, and car makers, that group is up 1.8%. The only decliners are two of the smallest sectors, energy and consumer staples.
All right, guys, let me get to some of the individual gainers. I mentioned semiconductors, definitely on a tear today. They were up, the stocks up about 4.6% in today's session. And then I would just want to highlight a couple of names because you did see a bunch of semi names atop the S&P 500 and I think also the Nasdaq 100. In fact, Broadcom is your #1 gainer in both the S&P and the Nasdaq, guys. It is up 11% in today's session. Take a look at Micron, also a top gainer in the S&P 500. That's good for a gain of about 8%. It too is a top gainer in the Nasdaq 100. Couple things going on. You had Micron price target raised to 338 from 325 over at Morgan Stanley. Has an overweight on the shares. Memory stocks have sold off lately due to concerns about higher capital spending, on the view that shortages may be easing, but neither impacts the firm's view, according to the analyst. One other thing I just want to mention, HSBC on Broadcom specifically, just pointing out the company has worked with Google to develop TPUs or tensor processing units for more than a decade. So HSBC adjusting its price target on the shares to 535 from 400 and maintaining a buy rating. So, I mean, just the semiconductors on fire. Speaking of being on fire, Alphabet, I believe this one finished at another record in today's session. It was up about 6.3%. It is up nearly 70% year to date, so easily outpacing the other Mag 7 brethren, if you will. Been on a tear. We talked last week about glowing reviews for its newly released Gemini AI model. And then just to throw in something non-tech, EW Scripps up about 7.5%. Sinclair, one of the largest U.S. TV broadcasters, offering to acquire EW Scripps for $7 a share in cash and stock, marking another proposed consolidation of station owners. By the way, that share price offers 70% premium over Scripps close on November 21st. So a lot of outperformers to choose.
Yeah, easy job finding the outperformers today. I want to start with some of the underperformers. Novo Nordisk down 5.6%. These are ADRs traded here in the U.S. And at one point, They fell to the lowest level in more than 4 years. The company did say that a pill version of Ozempic failed to slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease in 2 late-stage studies. We spoke to Madison Muller on our program a little earlier. She's been covering the industry for years, and the question that she said is, okay, what does Novo Nordisk end up deciding to do? Do they still pursue Alzheimer's as a potential area for this drug, or do they not do another study and kind of abandon it altogether? Also, shares of Copart, among the worst performers in the S&P 500, down 4.5%. This is the online vehicle salvage auction company. Shares today touching the lowest since 2023. JP Morgan analyst Josh Patwa lowered the price target on the company to $45 from $50. And finally, Performance Food Group down 2.3%. Shares fell as much as 5% earlier in the session. This after U.S. Foods said it's no longer pursuing a combination with the company. U.S. Food shares rose on the news.
All right, let's take a look at what the bond market did today. Pretty quiet overall, though you did see a bit of a rally develop here, especially when it comes to further out the curve. You take a look at the 10-year Treasury yield, down about 3 basis points. We are still above 4%, a little bit more when it comes to the 30-year yield, down about, you can round that to about 4 basis points or so. Overall, it does feel like when the 10-year yield, where it stands year to date, it just can't reliably break below 4%. I wonder what that means.
Still very much range bound.
Yeah,
when it comes down to it.
Yeah, maybe they're just waiting for that Fed meeting. I was thinking about Mary Daly, another one coming out saying she thinks, we could get, or she supports lowering interest rates come December. I'm trying to keep check of all of the Fed speakers and whether or not we're seeing more momentum when it comes to folks supporting another rate cut.
Well, I guess the question is where's the data that they're looking at? What is the data that they have that is telling them, okay, there are concerns about the labor market? We certainly have the alternative data, but we missed some data when it came to the closure. So, the question is, is the Fed gonna be comfortable with the data that it has to make a decision on December 10th?
Well, soon we'll be in the blackout period, and we won't have any Fed speak, and we'll just have to wait for the decision itself. But just quickly here, we are getting some earnings. This coming out of Zoom, third quarter adjusted EPS coming in at $1.52. That is better than the estimate for $1.44. In terms of the look ahead, they see fourth quarter revenue at $1.23 billion to $1.24 billion. The estimate had been for $1.23 billion, so the midpoint of that range just slightly above the estimate. You can see the Zoom shares higher by just about 2% in the after-hours trade, Tim.
Well, speaking of higher, Katie.
Okay.
We're going to get to Thanksgiving on Thursday. And
True.
One of the most read stories late last week, we didn't actually have a chance to talk about it with you, was a story about how ahead of Thanksgiving and now on Thanksgiving, instead of drinking wine or other alcohol, people are instead reaching for the THC-infused gummies, THC-infused seltzer, and even, Carol Massar, in some cases, they're actually cooking in THC-infused fats and oils.
It's about Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thanksgiving. You heard it here first.
It can be in the gravy. It can be in the stuffing.
Can it?
And just makes everybody a little bit happier for Thanksgiving.
Or a little hungrier, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. If you need
pies
to
to
choke
eat.
down some more dry turkey, it certainly helps if you have that help.
Wait, spare a thought for the poor wine sellers.
That's the thing. Well, it's part of this broader trend,
Yes.
right, when it comes to alcohol consumption in the United States. You take a look at this Bloomberg News article. Apparently, alcohol consumption in the U.S. is at its lowest level in decades. And we know that Gen Z, for example, is part of that trend as well. So it's the younger generation that's driving a lot of this.
Well, the term for this is California sober, where you don't really touch alcohol, but you are more than open to cannabis and other mind-altering substances that are organic, like psychedelic mushrooms, for instance.
Come on.
Did you know
You've all done the Cousins Walk, haven't you?
The day before Turkey Day is the second biggest day of the year for legal
Yeah.
U.S. cannabis sales. That's
Right.
according to BDSA.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was the biggest. Oh, okay.
I don't know what you're saying. Some have even started calling it. So there's Cyber Monday, there's Black Friday, there's Green Wednesday.
Green
Okay.
Wednesday.
Everybody goes
Weird.
and buys all the marijuana.
And apparently Green Thursday, too.
I thought you were supposed to go to your hometown bar on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yes, you are,
That's what
right?
the movies told me,
Go
at
back in
least.
the movies. All right, what do you guys got for us?
Anyway, so the day after Thanksgiving is Black Friday, so we thought that we would keep the theme going because apparently OpenAI is debuting a ChatGPT shopping research tool ahead of the holidays. So maybe you can get a little bit help and set up a personalized buyer's guide while you're trying to navigate
But are they
Black
going to
Friday.
look through all the reviews and like the promos and all the like junk email
I would
that you
hope
get sent,
so, because
you know?
I'm certainly not going to.
I've noticed
know.
too recently that Amazon has started to have these sort of AI summaries about how people have described the products. They take the reviews and they say, okay, here's what people like, here's what people don't like.
I've noticed that as well. I usually scroll
Ignore
past it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
You're like
MO.
not interested.
Never read the comments?
Don't talk to me, robot.
Can't you just kind of train it so that, like, you know, your spouse knows exactly what to get you? Can you do that? Like, feed it information?
Mind reading.
Like, think harder, right?
Try again.
Right? Try again, exactly.